Hi there. I've got a question for you. Do you really think you're doing a good job? Yeah? Brilliant, that's great. But are you confident that you doing a good job is actually enough? I'm sorry to disillusion you, but it's just not. If that's your whole strategy, you're not building a career. You're just working hard, probably making someone else look good and deluding yourself in the meantime. Your work does not speak for itself. You do. And if you're still waiting patiently for someone to notice you, a bit like that Amazon package you've been obsessively tracking, well, it's time we had a little chat. This isn't a pep talk, it's a practical guide with a glint in its eye. Smart moves, slight chaos. Welcome to Little Moves, Big Careers. Thank you for joining me at the Little Moves, Big Careers podcast. I'm Caroline Esterson, career strategist and sticker of brilliant people and your co-pilot through the chaos of real-world careers. And this podcast, well, it's for you if you've ever done everything right and still felt stuck, overlooked, or like, frankly, you were shouting into a Teams call on mute. And in this first episode, we're kicking off with one of the biggest lies we've been sold, and that is doing your job well is enough. It's not. It's really not. So let's talk about what's really going on behind the scenes of career progress and why being brilliant is only the beginning. Somewhere along the way, we got told that if you just keep your head down, work hard and deliver, the right people will notice. As if there's a fairy godmother wafting through the office whispering, "Ooh, look at Rachel. She stayed late again. Let's make her a director." Now, let's be honest, that person doesn't exist. And if they ever did, well, they'd have been restructured out of the business and replaced by a middle manager with zero emotional intelligence by now. Careers aren't always built on fairness, but rather they're built on visibility, timing, relationships, and the guts to move often before you even feel ready. During one early job, I remember asking for more responsibility. And in response, my boss kept saying, "If you just," even now, those words send shudders down my spine. Because I learned that the translation of this was, if you just carry on doing the great things you're doing and add a little bit more to make me look good in the meantime. I moved on quickly. It was the best decision I ever made. I changed companies, changed the story, and never looked back. Because here's the thing nobody tells the quietly brilliant, the loyal but left out, the ones slightly outside the inner circle. You can't wait to be picked. You have to make the move that gets you seen, even if sometimes that does mean walking away. So to get us in the mood for thinking about the moves you want to make, let's transition swiftly onto our first game segment. This one's called Just One More Thing, in honour of my one-time boss who taught me generously about the type of leader I knew I really didn't want to be.
Now, welcome to the chaos. It's game time.
0 prizes, mild embarrassment, but hopefully excellent fun.
So, everyone, are you ready? It's a really quick one for you, and you have a really special treat because joining me for this episode of Fun Frolics is my fabulous business partner, Wendy Galloway.
Great to be here. No pressure.
No pressure at all. Let's just have a bit of fun because that's what it's all about. You spend too long at work, don't you, for it not to be fair.
Absolutely. And I think, fun's probably the most underrated and misunderstood element because lots of people, especially in corporate, kind of say, fun, we can't do that. This isn't balance. We've got to be serious. This is corporate. This is professional. But actually, what we know, don't we, Caro, is that when people are having fun, whatever that looks like, sounds like, or feels like, they're in a resourceful state.
Oh, exactly.
They think creatively, they can think logically, and they're at their best, they're in flow. So, yeah, absolutely. Fun.
Whilst there are some really serious bits in this podcast, there are also some fun bits as well. So we really do hope that we give you a bit of a giggle in the process. So without further ado, here's how the game works. Are you ready? Wendy's going to list out some real life things that people have actually been told at work. Your job, all you've got to do is count how many sound familiar to you. Dead easy. And you get bonus points if you've heard 3 or more in a single review. If you start going, oh my God, and twitching, just breathe through it. We'll help you through this process. You can call us later. So, Wendy, are you in full game mode?
I am. My contact lenses are shined and polished, ready.
Excellent. Take it away.
If you just stay a bit later. If you just take this one on for the team. If you just stop comparing yourself to others. If you just make yourself more available. If you just mention the new hire, remember, it's going to look really great in your CV.
I've got a full house so far.
Well, what a surprise. There's more, Cara, there's more.
I'll go for it.
If you just speak up more in meetings.
No, I've not been accused of that one.
Well, if you just wait until the next quarter, there's something in the pipeline, I promise you. If you just show a bit more initiative. If you just step back a bit, you're coming across too strong. If you just make it easier for them to say yes. And of course, all this means is if you just completely change the way you are as a person and perform unpaid miracles without blinking, then you'll be ready.
That one does sound familiar.
Well, the last one.
Wow, yeah, absolutely. What an escalation, right? Congratulations. You have reached the mythical milestone known as promotion pending, which of course, it means absolutely nothing. So how many points did you get? We'd love to know. Do tell us. You can email us, drop us a line. We'd like to know. I got full house -1, I think. That was what it was.
I reckon I know which one it was.
Look, in all seriousness, if you've ever been on the receiving end of this kind of drip feed nonsense, know this. It really isn't a reflection of your talent. It's a reflection of a system that rewards compliance over courage, a system where control is the default setting. So if no one's going to make it official, I will. You are ready. And you don't need to hear just one more thing to start making your own bold moves. So let's start to dig a bit deeper on this with some research.
Time for brain food, the research bit. But make it cheeky.
Because we all love evidence, especially when it supports our own experiences.
Today's episode is built around one key idea. Clarity gets rewarded much more than capability. You'd think being capable would be enough to get you noticed, promoted and rewarded. You'd also like to believe chocolate digestives were a health food, frankly. Sadly, real life says otherwise. Research backs this theory up about clarity. A 2020 study from Frontiers in Psychology found that people who clearly define what success means to them and can communicate it clearly end up with higher career satisfaction, stronger job fits, and better overall momentum. It's not about being the smartest in the room. It's about being the clearest. When you're clear, people can back you, sponsor you, pitch you because they actually know what you're about. No clarity, no momentum. You might be the best kept secret in the building, but secrets don't get promoted. Think of your career like a book in a bookshop. If there's no title, no blurb, and you're tucked away on the bottom shelf in the middle of the gardening section, for example, facing the wrong way, it doesn't matter how good your content is. No one's picking you up, are they? You, just like the book, stays there gathering dust. Painful, right? But here's the good news. You're not stuck with a blank cover forever. You know yourself. You can shape how people see you and how they sell you to others without shouting, overselling, or stapling a mission statement to your forehead. So what do you need to do instead? You need to start making tiny moves that make your career more visible and more strategically vocal. And if you're waiting for your manager to do it, please don't hold your breath. Not all managers are built to help you grow. Some will be your biggest champions. Others, well, let's say we've named them in a bonus episode for you so you can spot them, dodge them, and work around them. The point is this: you don't need a perfect manager to make your own powerful move. You just need clarity, consistency, and the guts to take ownership, even if the system's not doing you any favours. So let's move on to examine what this might be like in real life.
It's time for What Would Caro Do? Like a career agony aunt, but with less cardigan and more fire.
Because sometimes you don't need permission, you just need better advice.
Welcome to What Would Caro Do? Each week we'll read out and answer a career dilemma from a listener. And this week's career dilemma comes from Reliable but Unremarkable from Romford.
Auntie Caro, I've been told for years that I'm a safe pair of hands. And I used to take that as a compliment. But lately I'm wondering, is that code for reliable but unremarkable? I'm doing good work, but I'm not getting anywhere. Help!
Oh, God. Oh, if you're listening to this rather than watching it, you'll see me just sinking my head into my hands right now. Safe pair of hands? Seriously? It's basically workplace friend zoning. It means we trust you not to drop the ball, but we simply don't see you as a game changer. So here's what I do. One of the fastest ways to change how you're seen at work is to start speaking in outcomes, not effort. Because effort sounds a little bit like this. I worked really hard on that. I stayed late to get it done. I've been in back-to-back meetings. You think they'll hear, wow, they're so committed. What they actually hear is busy, tired, and still not adding visible value. But outcomes, on the other hand, outcomes make people sit up and listen. This saved us 2 weeks of delivery time. I helped reduce complaints by 40%. I influenced a cross-functional team to shift priorities without the need for escalation. Do you see the difference? One says, please notice me, supported by those puppy dog eyes. The other says, I made a difference and here's how I did it. People don't promote effort, they promote value. So stop listing what you did. Start naming what it achieved. Translate your hard work into outcomes because no one else is going to do it for you. Okay, so I've shared with you what I would do. Now let's give you something to do so you don't just sit here, nod your head politely and go back to updating your Slack status.
Small shifts, sharp impact. These are quick-fire career moves, real things you can do before your next coffee refill.
Here's 3 small shifts to try this week. First, rewrite your email signature, but not with kind regards and your job title. I mean, rewrite it like you mean it, like you know what you bring to the party, like you want people to remember you. And to do that, you actually need to get clear on what you want to be known for. So ask yourself this: if your name popped up in someone's inbox, what words would you hope that they'd associate with you? Is it about clarity, calmness despite the chaos going on around you? Are you the fixer of stuff other people mess up? Maybe you're the connector, the challenger, the one who always brings a solution and homemade cakes. That's your signature, literally. Try something like moving projects from post-its to performance, digital firefighter, calm under pressure, turning numbers into small decisions, or even more punchy if that fits your personality. Something like risk-aware and results-driven, ridiculously reliable. Go on, rename yourself. At the very least, this type of activity helps you to really tune into what you want to be known for and can help keep you focused when the going gets tough. Number 2, ask for feedback on how you show up in meetings. This isn't feedback on your work, it's all about your impact. Because here's the thing, you might think you're actually coming across as thoughtful and insightful, but to everyone else, you might just look like you're staring mysteriously into your lap. Are you taking diligent notes, having a moment of quiet reflection perhaps, or sneakily reading that sci-fi novel you absolutely can't put down? No one knows, and that's the point. And that resting, thinking face of yours, you know the one. You know it's just the way that your face sets when you're concentrating. But others see, whoa, please don't talk to me energy. Or even worse, I'm bored and slightly dangerous if you get on my wrong side. Until you ask, you won't know the gap between what you're thinking you're giving off and what's actually being received. And in that gap, well, that's where visibility either lives or dies quietly with its camera off. Here's something to try without sounding like you've read too many self help books. Hey, I've got a quick question for you. I'm trying to get better at how I show up in meetings. What's one word or impression people might walk away with when I've spoken? Or even this: when I speak up in meetings, does it land? Is there anything I could do to improve? This isn't about fishing for compliments. It's about helping you understand the gap between your intention and your impact. And that's where your next bold move lives. Number 3, in your next one-to-one, tell your manager what you want next, not just what you're doing now. Because updates are lovely, but ambition, oh, ambition, that's what makes people remember your name when the big stuff lands. You don't need a full-blown career manifesto. You just need to plant a little seed. Try something like, I'd love to lead a project like that next time. What would you need for me to get there? Or, I'm really keen to grow in X, whatever X is. What should I be dialing up now or shifting so that I'm ready when the opportunity comes? Or even, if a stretch opportunity comes up, I want you to know that I'm ready for it, even if it's not shaped clearly. This isn't about being pushy, it's about being clear, and clarity gets remembered. Plus, it makes it a lot harder for your manager to say, I didn't realise they wanted that. That phrase. Actually, have you ever heard a manager say, I didn't realise you wanted that? It sounds innocent enough, doesn't it? But maybe even reasonable. But if you scratch the surface, what it often really means is, I wasn't paying attention, I didn't ask, and I didn't notice. Not because they're evil villains twirling their moustaches while stroking that ridiculously fluffy white cat perched on their lap, but because when people get busy, they get blinkered. And in that blinkered state, silence gets mistaken for satisfaction. They're filling in the void of your lack of clarity in a way that makes it easy for them to maintain the status quo. It's just human nature, and it's time for you to take control. Oh, and if you are a manager listening in, remember that in the real world, it's not the loudest voices who deserve the most attention. And it's the manager who notices the quiet cues that build the strongest teams. They don't wait for somebody to spell it out in size 72 font during a performance review. And whilst I'd love to say great managers are in the majority, sadly, they're not. And let's be honest, waiting for someone to do the heavy lifting for you, well, that's how careers stall. And you don't want that, do you? So, with that in mind, I've got a treat of a quote in store for you in my next favourite segment.
This quote has the right vibe and a completely wrong advice.
So let's fix that before someone puts it on a mug.
You've seen it on LinkedIn, you've heard it in meetings, you may have even pinned it on your vision board, but not all advice deserves to be followed. Some of it needs to be put firmly and gently in the bin. So each week I'll serve you one dodgy quote and one honest reframe. So let's get into our very first offender. Here's your dodgy quote and the honest reframe. Are you ready?
Good things come to those who wait.
No, just no. That's how people end up in year 3 of maybe next year. Waiting is not a strategy. It's just a holding pattern. Let's rewrite it. Good things come to those who move with purpose, curiosity, and the guts to raise their hand before they feel ready. You can wait, or you can wave. I know which one gets noticed. Good things come to those who notice, nudge, and aren't afraid to kick the door open where necessary, whether in boots, loafers, trainers, or red-soled Louboutins. Right, we've poked at the system, stirred the pot a little, and handed out some spicy little moves. But before we go, let me leave you with this. A few words to lift your chin, sharpen your focus, and remind you, you've got this. Because bold moves need belief, and I believe in you. Let's land this thing. If you've been working hard, keeping the wheels turning and wondering why it's not enough, please know you're not broken. You're just playing by rules that don't work anymore. You've already got the talent. The next step is owning it out loud. So this is your reminder. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. And I'm here to help. So that's a wrap on this episode of Little Moves, Big Careers, where progress isn't perfect, but it is happening. If your brain's buzzing and you want more magic like this, head to inspireyourgenius.com/podcast for the show notes, cheeky extras, and the kind of tools your career's been crying out for. Share it, steal it with pride, start a movement. So if you did enjoy this episode, please subscribe, share, and send me your dilemmas for what would Caro do, and any ideas that you've tried to Caroline@inspireyourgenius.com. And if you want to bring fresh thinking into your team or company, well, that's literally what we do. Drop us a line, we'll make it sing for you. Until next time, make the move. Even if it's tiny, especially if it's tiny.